to know how many people are going to be in those shelters throughout the storm. So the quicker you can get there, the better off it is and the easier it is for us for our operations. Questions continue to come in about curfews or bans. At this time, there is no curfew in Indian River County. We do not have any alcohol bans. None of those things are planned at this time. However, the County Administrator Jason Brown will consider those things if need be. So we're taking those into consideration. There's also questions about electricity, water, and sewer, if those will be intentionally cut off at any point. There are no plans in Indian River County to disable any of those things. People continue to post on social media asking those questions. If you lose power or electricity or water, that's because of the storm. That is not anything intentional, so just think of it that way. Again, bridges continue to be a hot topic. The bridges in Indian River County will close when the winds are measured at a sustained 39 miles per hour. So keep your eye on the winds out there. If you're somebody on the West Coast that's planning on coming back, your time is limited. You need to get back soon, make your way across that bridge. We don't want you to get caught in a situation where you come back to Indian River County because you're going over the bridge and you don't have time to get over that bridge. So as soon as those winds reach 39 miles per hour, we will close them. Thank you guys for being here. Be safe.
Muy buenas tardes, mi nombre es María Resto y yo soy la administradora de servicios de emergencias del condado Indian River. Le queremos recordar que el condado Indian River continúa bajo una advertencia de huracán. A pesar de que la trayectoria del movimiento es más hacia el oeste, alejándose de nuestra área, no debe bajar la guardia. Recuerde que este huracán cubre un área extensa y la trayectoria puede cambiar en cualquier momento. En este momento el huracán se encuentra a unas 337 millas de Vero Beach y tiene vientos sostenidos de 125 millas y ráfagas que pueden alcanzar 155 millas por hora. Las condiciones del tiempo van a comenzar a deteriorar en horas de la mañana y continuarán hasta el lunes. Todavía pronosticamos vientos de gran intensidad que pueden causar daños mayores o moderados. En el momento, el condado no ha ordenado un toque de queda. Sin embargo, le recomendamos que no salga de su residencia o de un lugar de refugio de no ser necesario y evite conducir. Las vías de rodaje podrían estar inundadas o en condiciones peligrosas. Si es que no se siente seguro en su residencia, debe buscar refugio lo antes posible. Los refugios del condado ya están abiertos y estos son el Freshman Learning Center, el Oslo Middle School, Sebastian River Middle y el Fells Mill Elementary. Además, la escuela Liberty Magnet aceptará personas con mascotas y el Treasure Coast Elementary aceptará personas con necesidades especiales. Los puentes a la isla Barrera van a estar cerrados una vez se alcancen vientos sostenidos de 39 millas por hora. Para más información relacionada al huracán Irma, puede llamar al 772-226-3930. Por favor, no llame al sistema de emergencias 911 si no es una emergencia. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon. My name is John King. I'm the County Emergency Services Director, and I just want to share with the community that we really appreciate all the activities you've done to prepare yourself and your family for this storm event. We see many people are at their destination, they're in their house, they're not on the streets, and that's where we want them to be. We want to make sure that you understand that we have an emergency planning team, emergency response team here for any needs that might happen during the height of this storm. Over the next 24 hours, you can expect outer bands of wind and rain to become more prevalent in the community, and just make the right decisions for your family. And again, as I said earlier today, there's healthcare nurses, there's police officers, there's fire rescue folks, there's volunteers, there's school principals and school staff that could be home with their family today, but they volunteered to help staff a shelter. So if you have a chance to say thank you, please do that. Let them know that you appreciate what they're doing to protect you. And lastly, our next update will be at 8 p.m. tonight. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Can you go over I just maybe missed some of the numbers for the shelters. Are
Sure.
they almost at max capacity as well, or how is that doing for people who are maybe trying to get there?
Yeah. We are not at max capacity. We have spaces now, but again, as the Major said a few minutes ago, we don't want people to come in at the last minute and try to rush and herd into the shelter because they waited to make a decision until it's late. Because if we reach capacity, then we have to open up other shelters. We have to redirect people somewhere across town, and we believe the weather conditions will deteriorate, and that's not a safe thing to do.
And I think if I'm adding correctly, it sounds like about 1,200 people are in the shelters right now. Is that good to see that people are utilizing the shelters and actually?
Well, I think that we've shared over the last few days is that the shelters are a place of last resort to go. We ask people to leave the area like the National Hurricane Center has suggested and the governor has suggested. We ask people to go stay with a friend who lives in a safe area, in a newer home. Again, the shelters are a shelter of last resort if you have no other place to go. And I promise you that when you get there, that they're going to be kind and they're going to have food for you, they're going to have water for you, but they will not have all the amenities that you would have at a friend's house. And so when you go there, it is a shelter. It is not a motel. Any other questions?
Have the wind speeds right now? I know there's like some rainstorms coming through, and that's kind of windy. We went across the bridge. Is that playing a factor of closing the bridges down, or are you waiting for some of the winds from Irma coming through to close down the bridge? Has it come close or anything yet?
Well, there's a cool front. It's coming through Jacksonville in the north, and as it's coming down, ahead of it is pushing rain, and it's banging against this storm, Irma. That's actually it's a hurricane, excuse me. But as those outer winds are matching, as they get closer together, you can expect some rain, and we can easily expect 10 inches of rain along the east coast of Florida, which is what the National Hurricane Center is telling us, in addition to the wind. So,
No considerations on the bridge at this time.
yeah. Thank you. Any more questions?
All right, so that just wrapped up the press conference there. I do have something new to report. This was just handed me. Palm Beach County School District Police Department just a minute ago. This is their 5th shelter update so far. I understand they're no longer taking folks. Forest Hill right now, people are being diverted. Independence School, full at this point. Same for Westgate. Also Bethune Elementary and Seminole Ridge also being diverted. We'll talk a little bit more about this in just a second, but we want to get to Sandra Shaw right now for the latest track on Irma. Sandra.
Yeah, doing double team with Taylor Grenda, and we are tracking Irma. Irma's still stubborn and following that Cuba shoreline, northern fringe of that area, but its wind field is just immense. 125-mile-an-hour sustained winds, still a Category 3. Those tropical storm force winds extend at 195 miles from the center. We already have hurricane force wind gusts reported at Miami International, as well as some tropical force sustained winds down in the Keys. At daybreak, the Florida Keys will be contending with the full wrath of Irma, which, as you see this eye, the more it lifts into the Florida Straits, the more we're going to see it blow up. We're already seeing some of that magnification with the convection around that right intense northeast quadrant, and the more we're going to see it grow stronger. I think at the next advisory, the next big one at 5 p.m., we will definitely see maybe an increasing Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane. The big question is, when does the actual turn to the north-northwest happen? And we're seeing the eye kind of do a little lift, but the actual hurricane is so big, not really registering just yet northwest. So we'll see. These water temperatures, fuel to the fire when it comes to a tropical cyclone. You got 87 degrees where Irma is spinning right now. That's why I think we're seeing some magnification of its convection field. We also have 89 degrees when it moves around the Key West vicinity, over the lower Keys and into the Gulf of Mexico, where it feels like a bathtub. I mean, 89-degree water temperatures, it's really kind of hard to fathom. And so that is just really going to help intensify Irma and magnify the risk for storm surge, which could be up to 15 feet here on the I-75 corridor between Alligator Alley and going into Fort Myers. We could see 15 feet, a wall of water encompassing the shoreline there. The Keys, though, first on the list for Irma. Irma heading toward the Florida Keys, and the prognosis from the National Hurricane Center, at least the middle of this very narrow cone. I mean, they've really honed in on the positioning here. It's right over Key West as, you know, a Category 4 hurricane, sustained winds at 140 miles per hour. And, you know, those sustained winds are going to encompass much of the Keys. They're not very big, and the winds extend out 70 miles from the center, most likely. Moving into the rest of the day of Sunday, which will, by the way, be feeling tropical storm force conditions as it's to our west. We'll see a potentially landfalling Hurricane Irma somewhere between Naples and Fort Myers, extending up into maybe even the Sarasota vicinity. It'll be interesting to see how it tracks. Then after that, just moving northward into perhaps Savannah, Georgia, up around Jacksonville. We're going to track that. Really huge radar shield here of all the rains. Love this shot where you can see how Irma is spinning north of Cuba, but her rains and rain bands are moving counterclockwise, rotating in to the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. Here's the straight view, and you can see up around even parts of Daytona and Melbourne, some spotty showers. We've been contending with feeder bands throughout the course of today, and the eye of Irma still just kind of glaring at us. It's just really seeming to like Cuba. Been there ever since landfall last night. Around Homestead, some rains. We have rains across the middle part of the state around Alligator Alley into Collier County. And then we also have some downpours around Fort Pierce and stuff rolling in off the east side of the Atlantic with this northeast shield of outer bands. Now, there's the potential for some severe weather today in the form of tornadoes. We call them rain-wrapped tornadoes that are typically embedded and hard to detect and fast-moving in the outer bands of Irma. So what about that? Let's check in with Taylor Grenda.
Thanks, Sandra. And yes, we are looking at a threat for severe weather as we go throughout today, even tomorrow, extending into Monday morning. You can see we are highlighted out of the Storm Prediction Center in that slight risk for severe weather. And typically, I think the greatest threat will actually be the isolated tornadoes extended in those rain-wrapped bands of rain coming through with the system. So when we typically see a rain-wrapped tornado, it's hard to see. That's why we have been placed under a tornado watch, and it's only in place until 12 o'clock early tomorrow morning. However, I do think that this will probably and likely be extended, and we'll also typically probably see this extended across parts of the Treasure Coast. So even though you're not in a tornado watch right now, I think you will be probably likely. We're talking Seward up through Martin County, St. Lucie County, even Indian River County, Okeechobee County as well. So we'll keep you updated on that. Meanwhile, I do want to give you an update on the hurricane warning. Almost the entire Florida peninsula is engulfed and under a hurricane warning right now. Has to be the first time in history. I'm putting something together on that on social media. We'll keep you updated, and of course we'll have the latest update coming up at you as we go closer to 5 o'clock. Sandra?
All right, thanks a lot, Taylor. It really is incredible to see all that red. So hurricane warning, just a testament to the fact that all of us are going to see the wrath of Irma in some form or fashion. Maybe not as intense as we were yesterday, certainly not, but we're still going to feel it. So going forward, we've got tropical storm force conditions on the way tonight and throughout the day tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, Sandra, thank you. Let's go now out live to Ted White. He's at the Palm Beach County EOC. Of course, they had a briefing just a few hours ago. And Ted, I remember at that time they were talking about 3 o'clock is that important deadline when they really want folks off the streets.
That's right. They really want to focus on that. And have you seen the conditions out there? Have you seen the rain get heavier at times and the wind pick up here in our area as far as Palm Beach County is concerned? Joining me now is Bill Johnson. He's the Director of Emergency Management. You had that briefing a short while ago. Some points that you wanted to make.
Well, first of all, we're about ready to go into a curfew at 3 o'clock this afternoon countywide. So we're using that as a way of getting a message across that it's important that if you have any last-minute preparation activities, you need to complete them and complete them now. The dynamics of the storm have changed ever so slightly. The wind speeds are down a little bit and the track moved off to the west, but we are definitely far from the woods yet. It's important to know that we are going to be expecting 10 to 15 inches of rain, so that's probably going to mean some localized flooding. We're under a tornado watch. We're on the, if you will, messy side of the storm, so we are not out of the woods on this one, and it's important that you implement your plans, finalize your plans, and for those of you that have them all done, please don't change your mind, don't go backwards. We need people to be safe and hunker down now.
And more than a dozen shelters are open.
That's correct. We have about 13 shelters open. We have special needs shelters. We have a pet-friendly shelter. We have about over 16,000 people in those shelters. and we're encouraging everyone to stay in those shelters and get ready here for the long haul.
Now, on the way over here, we saw a handful of people boarding up. Now, if someone makes the decision now, I want to go to the shelter now, is that still possible?
Well, they have about 45 minutes, and we're timing this curfew to be about the arrival of the severe weather. In fact, my colleagues in Miami-Dade are telling me that they're already getting squally tropical weather. So it's important for us to wrap up those activities now. If you've got to at the last minute change your mind, let's do it, and let's do it now.
Last question, if someone is out there after this curfew, what's the message to them?
Well, the message to them is that we'll be accommodating to them, especially if they're evacuating. But the message really is do it now and get everything done before 3 o'clock. This storm has been out in the ocean, and we've been on air with many for several days now. So let's get the activities done, and let's get them done now.
Bill Johnson, Director of Emergency Management for Palm Beach County. Thank you, sir. Bottom line, if you are out there, which you should not be after this curfew goes into effect at 3 o'clock, you need to get in your homes. You need to prepare. Hopefully you are prepared right now, and stay safe. We'll have continued updates here from the Palm Beach County Emergency Operations Center. That's the very latest in West Palm Beach. Ted White, back to you.